in our health facilities, the maternal mortality figure is lower. Most of the maternal deaths in this country occur from unsupervised deliveries. And so that's what we've been working on. We've, in the last 4 years, built 1,300 CHIPS compounds across the country to take healthcare, maternal healthcare to mothers in the remotest areas. We have deployed 161 ambulances under the National Ambulance Service, and we're establishing communication systems where even in the remote villages, a health attendant can call and say, we have a difficult delivery, send an ambulance, let's evacuate this mother. And so we will continue, and under my presidency, I will continue firmly to roll this out. Maternal mortality is linked with a lot of things. It even includes the road that leads to the village. If the road is in poor shape and therefore taxis and other vehicles are reluctant to go there, if there's a difficult birth, I've seen cases where mothers are jacked up behind a motorcycle and riding for miles to get to a health care center. We will send the health centers and the CHIPS compounds to them. We will improve the roads so that they can be evacuated easily in the event of difficult births. And we will look at all the linkages that make our mothers die when they are giving birth and make sure that we put in place, under my presidency, interventions that will prevent that from happening.
Thank you. Thank you so much. CPP, please.
Thank you very much. The 350 per 10,000 live births, 50 more than the president said, is where we are. And in order to reduce this significantly, we have to look at the magnitude of the problem and invest sufficient resources to at least halve it. This does not mean small incremental allocations. It means a massive injection to bring the facilities to the people immediately. It is not too much to ask for a small room with a solar light, clean equipment, alcohol, and also strappings that can be used to strap the pregnant mother down during transportation in order to prevent rupture. These are expenses which we as a nation can afford. And it is a disgrace that we are able to afford so many expensive things, and yet these little things, which these people in rural areas do not ask a lot for, we don't want to give it to them. Under my presidency, I will make sure that they get it in one term of office. We will ensure that all the CHIPS compounds are put in place, and in addition to that, we expand the quota of trained traditional house midwives that will be able to assist the trained midwife. We will also expand the transportation system to open the rural roads so that intermediate transport can be used to access them. Many of the pregnancies that go to term and end up in trouble arise from a mother who has been carrying a load on her head for about 3 kilometers before she arrives home. This is because we are still relying on women, pregnant women with children on their backs, to carry the yams to their houses before they get to our tables for the fufu that we eat. The least we can do is open up the roads for them and provide them intermediate transport. What we will also do to make sure we reduce the maternal mortality rate is to expand the level of awareness in the community so that we can have more help for women in the later stages of pregnancy. Traditionally, we have a situation where younger women come to help a mother who is pregnant. But increasingly with education, many of the younger women are in school. I think at a community and local government level, we can make small payments to the traditional housewives to be able to increase their visitations to all mothers in the village. Thank you very much.
Thank you also. PNC, please.
Thank you. Making motherhood matters in Ghana involve the creation of an enabling environment and circumstances within which a woman is able to choose whether to be pregnant, and if she does, ensure she receives care for prevention and treatment of pregnancy-related complications. Despite all the effort made so far, maternal mortality ratio is still high at 350 to 100,000 lives per birth. Attendance by birth by unskilled personnel is high at 43%. unmet needed for contraception is high at 35%. Total fertility rate is high at 4.3%. The case of maternal mortality can be attributed to 3 delays. The first delay in seeking care. The second delay in reaching care. And the third delay is delay in receiving care. The situation arises as a result of interplay of several factors, including low status and empowerment of women in the society, low educational status of women, inadequate information of women, unskilled caregivers about danger signs of pregnancy, labor and delivery, inadequate information of men about childbirth, and male dominance in decision-making to seek care, and poor male involvement in maternity care and mental health. The second delay has a result of the following: poor physical accessibility to skilled care, mostly poor roads infrastructure to facilities, unavailability of efficient ambulance services, and referral mechanism. The third one is the poor physical infrastructure, unavailability of needed medical care and equipment, supplies of skilled care, inadequate skilled human resources for mental health contribution to this delay. The refusal of skilled personnel to serve in remote areas of the country and poor attitude also have major impact on mental health care delivery in Ghana. Our policy is to improve the infrastructural development to encourage healthcare and midwives and to implement and add up and build more facilities at the local levels. From 5 to 50 kilometers distance, we will put up healthcare centers to be able to accommodate people within societies where there are not healthcares. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Yaga. Thank you to the candidates. We go for our penultimate question in this debate tonight. And at this stage, we want to talk about the media. In election years and even beyond, there is worry about media conduct, inflammatory language, feeding of the public with inaccuracies, just to mention a few. What are your views on media regulation? Mr. President, I'll start with you for 3 minutes. What are your views on media regulation?
Media regulation.
Yes, Mr. President, I'll start with you for 3 minutes.
Can you go over the question? You say in election years there...
And even beyond, there are worries about media conduct, inflammatory language, feeding of the public with inaccuracies, just to mention a few. As president, the question is, how do you ensure that the excesses of the media are curbed or the potential achieved?
Thank you very much. I think that this is necessary not only for election years, but for all time. We have a media that has made a lot of progress. I must admit and commend our media for how far we have come. I have been a part of public service from the time the 1992 Constitution was instituted. And I have known the media before then and where the media is now. We are not there yet. I think it's a stage of our development that we still are grappling with. And it is not the president alone who can do anything to transform the media landscape. I think it needs a collective effort. A lot of it, self-regulation by the media itself. As you know, our constitution seeks to insulate the media from governmental control. And so there are restraints on what the president as a person can actually do in terms of, taking away these excesses that you talked about. Us politicians and public servants bear the brunt of it. I mean, the inaccuracies, the deliberate falsehoods, the concoctions that don't exist, absolutely. There are times you read a story in the media, and if you weren't yourself, you will believe it. You say, this man is a very bad man. But because you are you know you haven't done that, But part of it also emanates from ourselves. I mean, because we want to win power, we concoct things about our opponents and put them into the media. And the media, because of technology, it's coming to a stage where that gatekeeping role even no longer exists. You can write anything about your political opponent and post it on your Facebook or circulate it on the internet. And a lot of that is happening with people like us. I mean, absolute downright lies. What I think is we must show by example as political leaders, that these things are unacceptable, and we must not indulge in them ourselves. Some political leaders are indulging in them, repeating unsubstantiated allegations against their opponents, and I think that's not right. So I think collectively with the Media Commission, with the Ghana Journalists Association, with Primpag, if we put our shoulders to the wheel, we can undertake the interventions that will create a better media landscape for us. We've started to do that already. We put aside 2 million Ghana cedis for media development. And between the Ministry of Information and the National Media Commission, we're working out the modalities for using it to provide more training for media personnel. It is the one profession where you don't need a qualification to join. If you just have been to school and you have a pen and you can read and write, you can become a journalist and start contributing to the media. Now, you don't even need a qualification. All you need is a laptop or an iPad, and you can be on the internet and write whatever you want. And so I do think that for those who are professional journalists, with the Media Commission and other stakeholders, we can improve their level of professionalism and ensure that we have a media that this country deserves. Thank you.
Dr. Sakara?
Thank you very much. I think the media is a double-edged sword. One day you'll be praised and the next day you'll be castigated. But the question is, what is fair reporting? And that, I think we must have a peer pressure within the media itself to maintain its own ethical standards, to be able to determine that members of our profession who go beyond this point will not be accepted. I think the media itself must attain certain levels and regulate itself beyond the regulatory measures that government will put in place. Because it is quite intimidating to take a newspaper to court. You may have one word, but they will certainly have the last word. And in doing that, we must also recognize the power of the media. They have played a useful role in our democracy. Certainly, we have had a fairer opportunity to get our message out to people, because sitting at a local FM station, you can reach most people who are in their workplaces, and you can have an interaction with them that would not be possible at gargantuan rallies. So it is important we recognize the power of the media and the role it has played in expanding our democracy. But at the same time, we need to check the excesses. And I believe that by ensuring stricter quotas in the government-funded newspapers, we will have more open space and fairer reporting for the various political parties. Secondly, we know that a lot of media houses are owned, quote-unquote, by certain political parties. I think it is almost creating a situation where there's the truth of one party versus the truth of another party. We have to have our national truth and our social truth. And our national newspapers must stick to ethical standards and create opportunity where that truth becomes known. It is very important that our young people who want to join the media profession learn at the feet of their mentors. I believe the situation where anybody can become a journalist is certainly not one we should encourage. There should be strict regulations and requirements for who becomes a journalist, because you're playing with people's hard-earned reputations. You're playing with opportunities of institutions, and you're playing with the peace and security of the nation. I believe our media can do better, and if we all work together with them, they will do better. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Ayaga?
Thank you. First of all, let me congratulate the media for giving us this platform as well, and making Ghanaians and the whole world to listen to us. But I can tell you today that I seriously have a problem with the media in Ghana, because medias are partisan. You realize that most of the newspapers and radio stations and print media are owned by politicians, different political groups. The PNC does not have one. So when the PNC flag bearer comes out to say something, you hardly hear it. When the NDC one comes to say something, tomorrow it is in the NDC newspapers. Tomorrow Nana Akufo-Addo says something, wow, Daily Graphic, the Daily Guide takes it, and all over the country they are talking about. I want to make it clear that Ghana is not for us to play with. The politicians we have in this country want to serve this nation irrespective of which media we have. So I appeal to the media, please and please. I know that you know and you say that bad news sell, but don't sell bad news at the expense of this nation. This nation is the only country we have. Whether that newspaper is owned by Nana Akufo-Addo or His Excellency John Mahama, please make sure that whatever you bring on board, the whole world, people buy newspapers. It goes into the internet. So people get to judge what kind of media you have, you are dealing with. So I will want to see a media house in this country that is non-partisan, that believes in the ideologies and concept of this country, that will come out with ideas and not be partisan. We can build this Ghana together. I don't need to be in power and throw Nana Akufo-Addo away. At least I'll bring him to see how best we can do the SHS. I don't need to throw my brother Abu Sankara away. At least agriculture part, I can put him there to see how we can handle the farmlands in the north and other parts of the country. His Excellency is a communicator. At least as a foreign minister, he will communicate well with us.
Don't mind him.
Could you remember my time? At least, together, we can build this nation. Ghana is the only country we have. Our quota can put up, I still have 10 seconds. Our quota, when brought together, we can have a perfect nation.
Okay.
We can build a nation
Okay.
that our children
Mr.
to come
Yaga.
will benefit.
Thank you,
and we
Mr.
will all
Yaga.
have a good nation.
Thank you, Mr. Yaga.
Thank you.
Let me go to the MPPs, Nana Akufo-Addo. You have 3 minutes.
Okojo, thank you. Well, it's good that my young brother Hassan is making his cabinet right here in front of all of us. Okojo, this is an extremely important matter. The Ghanaian media has come a very long way to becoming a vehicle for dissemination of information and also for being a vehicle for accountability in our national life.